Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Brian Keene's Secret Histories. Apparently, your favorite thing on the internet. I am pleased and bemused at your response to this series, both on Patreon and on YouTube. I'm so glad that you are all enjoying it. I'm enjoying making them for you. If you are watching for the first time in this series, as you can see, it's very bootleg. It's literally me sitting on the floor in my office with an iPhone in one hand, and it's very shaky and wobbly. And what we're doing is we're going through my books in chronological order and giving you a little behind-the-scenes glimpse into the creation and history of each of them. Today we are talking about Earthworm Gods, selected scenes from the end of the world. Now, you may remember previous video for the Rising, selected scenes from the end of the world. This was patterned after that, where people paid money and commissioned short stories where they would appear as characters. This time, instead of appearing in the world of the Rising, they appeared in the world of Earthworm Gods, previously published as The Conqueror Worms, as we talked about in that video. Of those two projects, the two selected scenes from the end of the world projects, I prefer this one over The Rising. And I'll tell you why. I was able to stretch more with this book. With the Rising book, the rules of that world, there's three waves of entities, starting with Ob and the Siquism. And, all of them, until you get to the end, all of them are just variations of zombies. At the end, the fire elementals come down and toast everything. But before that, it's just zombies. And there's only so much you can do with that. And granted, I put it into the bugs and the trees and everything else, but there's still only so much you can do with that. With the Earthworm Gods world, that first novel, I packed so much into it and hinted at so much more, and none of those things had room to breathe. There was one sentence or one paragraph, and this project gave me a chance to spotlight some of those other creatures, the shark people, the mermaids, the white fungus left behind by the worms themselves. All of that I was able to play with and really expand upon, which would eventually pave the way for Earthworm Gods 2, Deluge, and the novel Submerged, the Labyrinth Book 2. All of those elements would come back into play again. Originally published by Delirium Books, only 2 editions this time. Delirium never did a trade paperback. Again, it was, at the time in this history, there were starting to be rumblings of trouble behind the scenes at Delirium Books. And the fact that this wasn't getting a trade paperback release seemed odd to me, since the Rising book had sold so well, but, it is what it is. This was the lettered edition. With worms on the cover. Always hard to do this with one hand. There's the end papers. There's the signature sheet. 500 copies, 32 of the, 32 of the lettered. And then this was the 500 copy hardcover. Same signature sheet inside. And then it did not get an audiobook or ebook or trade paperback release until Deadite Press. Love this cover. Alan Clark, I love that cover. This is the Deadite Press edition. As I said, the stories in this would end up tying into Earthworm Gods 2, Deluge, the novel. Characters who appear in here appear in that novel, particularly the story that opens this book, Locke's Ark. Um, all of those characters and other characters from the book appear in that sequel novel. Um, they also get uh, mentioned in Submerged, the Labyrinth book too. So if you were one of the readers who commissioned a story in here, you've gotten more than your money's worth. You've not only appeared in here, but you may have appeared in other books as well, and it's always cool to be able to do that. Um, Not a lot else to say about this one. Very happy with it. Uh, in fact, we're putting together a best of Brian Keene short story collection for Pandy Press. That'll be out in November. You can pre-order it on their website right now, PANDI press.com. And one of the stories from here is actually been selected for that book. So yeah, real proud of this one. Next up, we're going to take a trip to the theater, and we are going to talk about the stage version of Terminal the play. Coming up next episode. See you then. Thanks for watching.